It's hot. Hot like being bathed in the flames of a fire-breathing dragon. Speaking of which, we're throwing some cheers at Wonder Boy. The Dragon's Trap. Or like the Dragon's Crap, am I right? Anyways, this is from Lizardcube Games. This is a weird thing, because this is actually reverse-engineered from the Master System version, insofar as it can actually accept passwords from the Master System version. It's pretty neat. What is it? Cursed into a half-human, half-lizard monstrosity by the Meka-Dragon. You are in search of a cure. The only way you can turn to your human form is to find the Salamander Cross, a magical item with the power to remove curses. So the devs sent us some keys for this. So let's kick off the chair position for Wonder Boy, the Dragon's Curse. 1 chair means it's crap. 2 chairs means it's meh. 3 chairs means it's pretty good. 4 chairs means it's awesome. And we got our categories of Doom mixed with the working, shiny sounds, controls, and fun. So, Ven, were you trapped by the functionality of this game?
Well, over here on the Ubuntu 1604 system, the box of business with 8150 powered by a 980. I did just run this at 1080p. I also tried it at 3840, 2160, solid 60 all the way across. However, I was seeing some chugging when there was, I guess, for lack of a better description, a bunch of sprites on the screen. This affects the remastered and the original, both in a way to switch back and forwards. More on that later. So, outside of that, nothing to complain about. I feel comfortable giving it a solid 4.
I mean, yeah. This is a Master System game, and now it's a gig in size. It's progress. Everything worked out of the box on Fedora 26, 64-bit on both the Steam box with the A10 5800K and the GTX 750 Ti, and on the i7 6700K with the GTX 980. No issues in terms of functionality, though. Well, I was fucking around in the options menu, though. Do not turn off frame lock, though, because the acceleration and whatnot is tied to the frame rate. So unless you want to do a legit speed run, you might want to leave that on. And anyways, it gets 4 chairs.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of chugging at points, and the FERPs don't really seem to drop from 60, at least according to the Steam overlay counter. But you can tell that it's not smooth. It's not a smooth 60. It means that the frame time is being very different between the different frames. And at first I thought it could be either VSync or the frame limiter, because the game has both as separate options. But regardless of whether those were enabled or disabled or a combination of either, it didn't seem to help whatever was causing the frame time jank. But, as Jordan already mentioned, the moment I had both disabled, the game, well, when you're rendering at 400 and something FERPs, the game goes about almost 5 times or 7 times as fast as it should have. So it's not a pleasant experience. But more on that later. Over here on Ubuntu Mate 1604.3, with the GTX 1080 and the FX 8370E, it gets 3 chairs.
All right, well, that's 3 chairs for Mixed with the Working. Up next is the Shiny and the Sounds. Ven, were you pressing that right trigger very often?
Oh, a little bit, man. Playing the remastered was kind of like watching a Disney movie. I like that new word. Beautiful and hand-drawn art. Wicked fluid animations. They abound. They're everywhere. They're all in your face. And I'm guessing, this is why, basically what my little brain organ was seeing versus what was actually being displayed on my Master System way back in the day. And it's kind of neat, because with a simple press of a button, it'll throw you face first into this OG pixel goodness as you're seeing right now. And it's not something that you can necessarily call hipster pixel, since minus the aspect ratio, as Jordan pointed out, it's basically a 1-to-1 recreation of the original. When it does come to the sounds, I can basically take or leave the new soundtrack, but like the visuals, the original business is included in the tin. Outside of that, the things go boop when you jump, and they go bleep when you thwack. Nothing really to complain about. It's nothing revolutionary, groundbreaking, but I really dig, the brand new look of it, and I like the instant ability to go back to the hipster pixel version. So I can give it a solid 3.
Oh yeah, for sure. I really like the ability to switch back and forth between the original and the new graphics. and I'm not sure if it's necessarily the cheerleader effect or if they're that good, but it is a significantly marked improvement over the what was originally presented in the Master System version. I especially like their new takes on like the nurse and the pig merchant, because they look like in the original they look like happy anime characters, and in this one the nurse looks like she's fed up with your shit, and the merchant is smoking a cigarette. Man, that smoking pig is my hero. I want to be him when I grow up. But you know, everything looks great. I do love the art style for the updated visuals. Yeah, it looks really, really good. I like the character design. I like the enemy design. I'll get to some of the limitations of that a little later. And I actually like the remastered soundtrack. I tried switching back to the original soundtrack, and it was Mega Drive, but this is fully orchestrated. It has, you know, proper instruments and whatnot, and it sounds pretty good. So I'm gonna give it I'll give it 3 cheers, not 4 cheers. Yeah.
Well, if you hit the right trigger, you get to toggle between the old and the new graphics. And if I'm being perfectly honest, it's in a purely aesthetic sense, the game looks good. It's still a 2D platformer, but seeing the new versus the old is actually jarring just how much better it looks. Same goes for the music. If you hit the left trigger, you can listen to the old chiptunes and immediately hit the left trigger again, because that half a second of screeching was just enough to make your ears bleed. So yeah, you're probably going to want to stick to the new aesthetics, and they are very good. Could be better, but yeah, it's definitely 3 chairs worth of shiny and sounds.
Okay, well, that's 3 chairs on shiny and sounds. Up next is control. So, Ven, did you plug your Atari 2600 controller into your computer to see if that would still work?
No, man. That only works with my Genesis controller. The remastered version controls like delayed arse. Let's just get that out of the way. OG mode, the original game, the OG gangsta. It controls spot on, but then again, the original version kind of had some slippery controls. I mean, this caused me to spend most of my time in HD, but switching back to the OG when I needed to get good, get shit done, kill a boss. Both versions still kind of flip out on occasion, especially noticeable when you unlock mouse mode. And, you know, that's something that should have at least been sorted out just a little bit in the remastered version, because it really cocks everything up. With the original game having some particularly slippery controls, and the noticeable difference between the pixel version versus the remastered being noticeably worse on top of that. Listen, I'll say your controls work. They're not great, and technically the game's playable, so I can give you 2 cheers. That's the best I can do.
Yeah, it basically controls like a Master System game. At least I'd assume. I've never actually owned a Master System or like legitimately played one, because I'm from North America, where the system didn't really succeed because of that little gray box everyone hates called the Nintendo Entertainment System. But I did definitely notice that when you switch to the OG mode, you can actually do like the sharp direction turns a lot easier than you could in the remastered version. I guess there's like some animation or something that takes a little longer. I don't really know for sure. But either way, they're both kind of sluggish. And considering at some points you may actually want to do some maneuvering to avoid getting killed to death, it doesn't really help you much. So it gets 2 chairs. One last point. It does actually work with whatever controller you plugged into it. I tried the Xbox, I tried DualShock 4, and Steam controller, and everything worked out of the box. So good on them for that.
Yeah, no, I did play it with the Steam controller, and it worked. Now, I honestly don't know how many times I've said this, but it seems that people just don't learn. If you're releasing a platformer in this day and age, you need to be absolutely fucking sure that your controls are tight. You need to have the absolutely fundamental way with which players interact with your fucking video game down pat. And you don't. You really fucking don't. The playable characters slide around like they're constantly on the ice level. Even when that's not the case, there's this weird feeling of shit momentum whenever you try to jump, shit momentum, as I've taken to call it, and it feels absolutely horrible. It's absolutely atrocious to control this game, and again, this is another example of a game that prioritizes aesthetics over functionality. the animation of the new version makes the game objectively worse to play. That is bad. I can't give it one chair because you can still, in practice, play the game, but boy, do I want to. 2 chairs.
Okay, well, that's 2 chairs for controls. Let's put a bow on this. Ben, did you have fun playing Wonder Boy, the Dragon's Trap? What is the secret of your power? Can you take me away to the Mucky Muck land?
You know, sometimes being faithful to the original can be a bad thing. And when we're in the court of public opinion, I'm going to use this game as Exhibit A. When Wonder Boy 3, The Dragon's Trap, was released in 1989, it was praised for its colorful graphics and non-linear gameplay. Then again, as I pointed out, it was kind of panned for its slippery controls. So, what do we have in 2017? We have a remake that's wicked pretty, but still suffers from controls that range from the aforementioned slippery to fuck this plus Alt F4. That has definitely happened. The platforming's basically atrocious. The story's non-existent, and the whole non-linear gameplay was a thing they did back in the day. It was always used to cover up games that basically you could 100% in under 8 hours and handily beat in well under 5. You could get away with that way back when in the 8-bit days, but times have changed, man. I mean, like several remasters, like the ones from Double Fine, this is kind of the same exact, not kind of, it is the same exact game with a fresh coat of paint and some new tunes. If you miss the original, you will be frustrated by the clunky 80s game design because it is there and it's there in force. If you want to do the nostalgia dive with the extra pretty, which it is quite pretty, you'll end up playing it in pixel mode, so you can kind of control the damn thing. Personally, I can't recommend this for the $19.99 asking price. Didn't have a good time with my nostalgia grab, and yes, I didn't beat it, but I definitely played this on my Master System.
Yeah, so I mean, I didn't hate it. This seems like a game that had I a Master System growing up, I'd probably sink a good amount of time into it. And as such, I don't really have any like nostalgia link to it. I just got to take this at face value. So I like the non-linear elements, but Ven really hit it on the nose with the 80s game design comment. Video game design, and especially platforming, have evolved significantly since then. Like even going as in terms of timeliness related to this, Sonic the Hedgehog was basically revolutionary when it came to this style of platforming on Sega systems. And as such, it lacks the lessons learned from the 30-odd years of game design that we've had since. And so it falls into the same sort of pitfalls where you get these fuck boxes where you just take a bunch of damage and you gotta just damage boost your way through it, because that's how these games were designed back then, before they realized how platforming should be. And I mean, again, the level designs aren't really impressive. It's you know how Mega Man has those little boxes where each screen is its own mini challenge. It takes this and stretches it out, so you got one big screen with a bunch of like progressively harder things that you need to do that are all within the same vein of one another, until you get to the next screen. And then, as you can see on the screen right here, if you're watching the video version, some cloud just comes and shits on you while it's wearing its horn sunglasses because it hates you. And if you really suck at the game, you can grind for coins, because your coins and whatnot don't refresh after you die. And, get better items so that you take less damage and do more damage. And then you can maybe stand a chance in some of these levels, but it only really helps a little. But honestly, the biggest thing that holds this game back is just the controls are complete jank. If they had gone back and redone one aspect of this game, I mean, other than the graphics, because they look phenomenal, it would have to be the controls. So, it's not bad. For $20, it's a bit of maybe wait till it goes on sale. I'll still give it 2 chairs. It's inoffensive. I didn't hate it.
Oh, I did. I had a Master System growing up. I played a lot of Alex Kidd. I played a lot of Double Dragon. I played a lot of Space Invaders. Any of these, much better games than this one, from the look of things. Everything that you see in my Steam account past the 10-minute mark and the quote-unquote tutorial boss fight was me forcing myself to play this game. I tried to make it to the 2-hour mark, but I couldn't. I was so fucking tired of dying because the character failed the jump, or one of the enemy things does one of those fucking jumps with a weird arc, which no matter how many times you see it and die to it, you still can't accurately predict where they're going to land. And the moment you think that you're getting the hang of a character and you beat a boss, all that muscle memory goes to shit because you will be quote-unquote cursed and transformed into a different character, a different dragon. I thought that, with Mighty Number 9 last week being as shit as it was, I'd be so jaded that even other shitty platformers would get a pass because there's no way that they could ever be bad in comparison to that one. Well, thankfully that's not the case, because Wonder Boy is not Mighty Number 9 bad. That's almost impossible, actually, but it's also not good. It feels horrible to play, and while I'm still very much opposed to the nostalgia fuel which keeps making games like this happen, I am willing to admit to liking some platformers which have come out in the past few years, from Salt and Sanctuary to Hollow Knight, with some Owlboy down the middle. I am capable of enjoying platformers, so long as they're good. I just happen to hate Wonder Boy's type of poorly executed, horrible to control, nostalgia-ridden type of platforming. 1 chair.
All right, well, that's 1 chair for fun. We tally everything up, and that totals out to about 2 chairs for Wonder Boy, the Dragon's Trap. Actually, Wonder Boy 3, but they're not going to tell you that. So, final thoughts?
Well, I guess at the end of the day, we're left with this. Lizardcube, you did an awesome, and I do mean awesome, job at putting a body kit on the original game, like you would an automobile car. But unfortunately, like a body kit on a car, you basically stuck a Lamborghini body kit on a Pontiac Fiero. That's what you did. Because, yeah, it looks pretty as fucking all. Sounds, give or take, like I said. At a distance, you're like, oh shit, maybe I want some of that. But it's still being powered by a 4-cylinder from the 80s. And that just didn't translate. You had an opportunity. I do understand Lizardcube, huge fans of this cult classic. You had an opportunity to go back and fix some genuinely broken issues with this game. And you didn't. I mean, you could have made an enhanced option. You have the options because for the graphics swap back and forward, or with the audio back and forward, you could have like an unfucked version back and forwards. That would have been nice as well. And welcome to see.
Yeah, and it is. You had the chance, like Van said, you had the chance to go back and fix it. You didn't. You went back and you didn't fix anything. You went back and you introduced animation lag to the controls. So you went back, and while you did improve on the visual and audio elements, you made everything else worse. That's how you control a game. That's how you interact with the world that a video game gives you. It's through the controls. And the controls in Wonder Boy are atrocious. This is bad. Really, really bad.
Yeah, they were always bad. And like I said, there's tons of really bad 80s game design in here. But this was always from Genesis supposed to be a recreation. And it succeeds on that merit. But as a game that you pay $20 for to play for your fun times, maybe if you have like some kid who you want to just keep quiet for a couple hours, give this to them. I would say wait till this goes on sale if you're going to pick it up, or else you're just a huge fan of the original. So.